Ready, and turn.
Okay, what about the first date?
Yeah, of course.
So you're saying Charlie?
So, you know how it's very cute?
What did you do?
This doll.
Emma, what the fuck? Know each other really well.
It's about acceptance.
Charlie walks into a cafe and notices a girl named Emma sitting nearby. While she steps away for a moment, he quickly takes a photo of the book she was reading, looks it up on his phone, and approaches her trying to start a conversation about it. She ignores him completely. He backs away feeling embarrassed, convinced everyone around him is watching. He works up the courage to approach her a second time and apologizes for being awkward. This time she takes out her headphones and explains that she is deaf in one ear and did not hear a single word he said the first time. She asks if they can just start over.
Do you want to start over?
Charlie sits back down and tries again from the beginning. 2 years later, Charlie is sitting at home writing his wedding speech with his best man and close friend Mike. He wants to write about their first date, where Emma asked him about the plot of the book he had pretended to know. He tried to make something up on the spot, but eventually admitted he had only looked it up to have a reason to talk to her. Emma found it strange, but appreciated his approach. Charlie and Mike go back and forth trying to figure out what else to include. Charlie talks about how weird her laugh is, but how much he loves it anyway. He talks about how she has a gift for turning serious moments into funny ones. He even tries to include some details about their intimate life before Mike firmly tells him to cut the whole thing out before their parents hear it. Emma is working on her own speech with her maid of honor Rachel and their boss Alice. She keeps breaking down in tears while trying to write it. They advise her to open with something funny, so she does not spend the whole speech crying. They bring up their first kiss. Charlie, who works as the director of the British Museum, had taken her there at night for a private visit. Everything was going well until the gate at the second entrance would not open. When he tried to force it, the alarm went off. Standing there confused and embarrassed, he kissed her. If you made it this far, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Rachel asks if he had planned the whole alarm situation to trap her into a kiss. Emma says no, it was completely unplanned. Alice reminds her of another moment. One day at the office, Charlie came by to return her wallet, and Alice asked who he was. Without thinking, Emma called him her boyfriend, even though they were not official yet. The realization hit her so hard that she had to step outside for air, and her condition got bad enough that they almost had to call for help.
Are you okay? Yeah, no, I'm fine.
Emma describes it as butterflies in her stomach and explains that Charlie is her first real crush and her first real love. Rachel finds this surprising given that Emma is already 30 years old. They also bring up the time Emma completely missed Charlie's marriage proposal because she was testing her deaf ear at that exact moment and did not hear a word he said. They all agree that story has to go in the speech. Charlie and Emma are taking dance lessons in preparation for the wedding. The trainer tells them they are improving but still need more practice. Emma is not fully committed to it. She feels the whole routine is too performative and staged. The trainer snaps back that all weddings are performative by nature. Emma tries to suggest something different, and the trainer snaps at her again. Outside after the lesson, Emma is still complaining about the trainer when they both stop and stare. Their wedding DJ Pauline is standing in a public park smoking heroin in plain sight. At the rehearsal dinner that evening with Mike and Rachel, who are actually a couple themselves, Emma casually suggests that they skip the whole dinner and just go out after the wedding instead. Charlie reminds her it is their wedding and they cannot just skip the dinner. They fill Mike and Rachel in on what they witnessed with Pauline. Everyone at the table immediately agrees she should be fired. Emma pushes back and says one bad moment does not define a person and that it is not a big deal. The conversation drifts into territory nobody expected. They start talking about the worst things each of them has ever done. Mike does not want to go, but Rachel forces him. He admits that on a date he once used the woman he was with as a human shield to protect himself from a dog attack. Everyone laughs, but Mike is clearly embarrassed. He then turns it around on Rachel. She takes a breath and tells them that when she was young, a slow kid from her neighborhood wandered into an abandoned building. She locked him in a cupboard, and when he started screaming, she panicked and ran away without telling anyone. A search party was organized, and the boy was eventually found safe. He never accused her, probably because he was scared of her. Charlie is next. He admits that he cyberbullied a kid so relentlessly that the entire family eventually moved away because of it. Then it is Emma's turn. She pauses and says that she once planned a school shooting. The table goes completely quiet. Charlie laughs out loud, thinking she is joking around. Emma says it is completely true. She had gotten hold of her father's rifle and was preparing to go through with it. That is also how she lost hearing in one ear. During a practice session, she fired the rifle too close to her ear and permanently damaged it. Charlie is stunned because Emma had always told him the hearing loss was something she was born with. Rachel immediately gets furious. Her cousin Samantha was left paralyzed because of a school shooting, and this is not something Rachel can laugh off or brush aside. An argument breaks out at the table. Emma tries to apologize and keeps saying she never actually went through with it. In the middle of the argument, Emma throws up. They all agree to call it a night and go home.
Sam is actually paralyzed because of that.
Who's Sam?
My cousin, my fucking cousin!
Back at their apartment, Emma apologizes for how the evening went. Charlie tells her he does not want to talk about it anymore and goes to bed. That night, he has a nightmare about a shooter attacking their wedding. The next morning, Charlie is sitting alone processing everything when Emma wakes up and finds the apartment quiet. She immediately starts to spiral. She thinks he has gone over to Mike's to talk about canceling the wedding. She imagines him calling the police on her. Then Charlie walks back in carrying 2 coffees. They sit together in silence. Charlie is still trying to make sense of what he heard. He cannot fully believe it is true, but he knows it is. He asks her why she told everyone at that dinner table, but had kept it hidden from him all this time. She says she was drunk and not thinking clearly. He pushes her to explain more, but she wants to drop it and reminds him they have an appointment with the photographer. He keeps pressing, and she starts vomiting again from the stress. After she recovers, she explains that after her family moved, she could not make friends at the new school and was being bullied constantly. Charlie asks how being bullied led to the idea of shooting up a school. She says it was not an original idea. It was already happening all around her, and she felt some kind of pull toward it that she could not fully explain at the time. They head to the photography appointment where the photographer walks them through the plan and keeps casually using the word shoot when referring to their family members and guests. Both Charlie and Emma visibly flinch every time she says it. The photographer notices them acting strange and assumes it is just wedding nerves. She clips them together for a practice shot, and Charlie looks over at Emma and for a brief moment pictures her as a younger version of herself holding a rifle. On the drive back home, Emma gets into a heated argument with their driver over something small, and Charlie watches her, increasingly unsettled.
Fuck out of the way!
I'm not getting on the fucking way! It's a crosswalk, dumbass!
Right.
Later that evening, during an intimate moment, Emma slaps Charlie. He pulls back and tells her sharply that he does not like that. Emma continues telling her story. She explains that when she was young, another shooter actually attacked her school. Charlie did not know about this either. He is shocked. Emma clarifies that it was not technically classified as a mass shooting because only 3 people died and the threshold is 4 or more. Because of that attack, she began connecting with other grieving students. The school set up grief counseling and various classes to help students cope. One day in class, the discussion turned to school shootings, and everyone agreed it was always men who carried them out. Emma spoke up and listed several incidents where women were the shooters. A boy in the class noticed and later came to her asking if she wanted to get involved in doing something about gun violence. She joined a whole activist group and began organizing protests and advocating for gun control. Eventually, she threw her father's rifle away entirely. Charlie takes it all in but finds it overwhelming. Emma tells him she does not want to keep talking about it and does not want him to start looking at her like she is a different person.
And I don't want you to look at me differently. And I love you. I love you so much.
They hold each other and try to move past it. Slowly, things begin to fall apart in the days that follow. Rachel stops answering Emma's calls. Charlie finds a coffee mug with a gun printed on it and quietly throws it in the trash. He pulls up his wedding speech and starts editing it. He removes the part where he called Emma empathetic and then just keeps deleting until the whole speech is gone. Emma walks in and he snaps the laptop shut. She later finds the mug he threw away and says nothing. One evening, Emma walks into the room where Charlie is getting dressed and she is holding a kitchen knife. He freezes. She notices the fear on his face and asks him why he is scared. She points the knife toward him half playfully, and he is visibly shaken. He asks her about a close childhood friend she lost, wondering if that loss played a role in her thinking about the shooting. She tells him the 2 things had absolutely nothing to do with each other.
How do you know if it's relevant or not if you haven't analyzed it?
At work, Charlie cannot focus. He finds a book in the museum that contains photographs of women holding guns and becomes fixated on it. He asks his colleague Misha if she knows anything about where it came from. She says she has no idea and that it must have arrived through the mail. Meanwhile, at Emma's office, her boss Alice comes asking if she can get in touch with Rachel since she is needed for a project. Emma tells her Rachel is hard to reach and may not be the right fit for the job anymore. Alice is surprised since Emma was the one who recommended her. Emma says Rachel just has trouble meeting deadlines, and it would be better to let her go. That night at home, Emma tries to be intimate with Charlie. He kisses her back, but cannot be fully present. She tells him not to think about everything that has been going on. He snaps and says he was not thinking about it, but now he is. He goes out for a drink alone. Emma follows him and sits beside him at the bar pretending to be a stranger. She tries to do a light role play to ease the tension between them. Charlie is not in the mood. They end up in another argument. She asks if he threw away the mug because of the gun on it. He tries to deny it. He attempts to lighten the mood by trying to be funny the way she would, but only manages to accidentally hurt her. At that moment, Emma gets a call from Rachel and steps away to answer it. The following day, Charlie meets with Rachel and Mike. Rachel tells him she no longer wants to be maid of honor. She is upset that Emma had her quietly removed from a work project without any real explanation. Charlie tries to defend Emma. He tells Rachel that Emma lost a very close childhood friend in an accident and that it affected her deeply and shaped the way she thinks. He also makes the argument that many people have dark thoughts they never act on and that they still go on to live perfectly normal lives. He asks Rachel to approach the situation with an open mind. Rachel says she needs to speak with her sister Samantha first and find out if she is comfortable with Rachel being part of the wedding given everything she knows. Outside the building, Charlie spots Samantha arriving in a wheelchair. He introduces himself and tries to explain the situation, but he is too eager and comes across as pushy and strange. Samantha politely excuses herself and leaves. Back at the museum, Charlie tries to rewrite his wedding speech from scratch, but cannot get anywhere with it. He keeps picking up the book with the gun photographs and imagining Emma in the pictures. In the conference room, he asks Misha what the worst thing she has ever done is. She thinks carefully and says she cheated on a boyfriend. He was a very kind and caring person, but she was not happy in their intimate life, so she ended up with someone who treated her poorly. Her boyfriend found out, and everything fell apart. She turns the question back on Charlie. He says there are too many things to choose from. He then asks her a hypothetical. If her current boyfriend Blake had once planned a school shooting but never went through with it, and had completely changed since then, what would she do? Misha is visibly unsettled by the question. She says she would be afraid and would probably call the police. Charlie pushes back and asks what exactly the police would do if the person never actually did anything. Misha says the fact that they thought about it seriously and prepared for it is enough to be alarmed about. Charlie says what if the person truly regrets it and has turned their life around entirely? Misha says that is exactly how a psychopath would want someone to think. Charlie snaps and walks out of the room, leaving Misha scared and confused. The wedding day arrives. Before the ceremony, Charlie and Emma track down Pauline the DJ to address what they saw in the park. Pauline flatly denies it ever happened. Emma pushes, and an argument breaks out. Charlie stands to the side saying nothing, distracted by guilt over what happened with Misha. Earlier in the week, when he had been crying alone at the office, Misha had come in to comfort him. He misread the moment and kissed her. She initially pulled back, but then kissed him back. He pulled at her blouse before stopping himself and immediately apologizing. She told him it was fine and walked out. Now standing next to Emma while she argues with Pauline, Charlie says nothing. Pauline eventually calls Emma a name, and Emma fires her on the spot. Pauline storms off, cursing them both as she goes. The ceremony goes ahead, and the bride and groom share their first kiss as a married couple. They take photos with both sets of parents. Charlie gets tense when he spots Misha arriving with her boyfriend Blake. Rachel is there as maid of honor after all. At the reception, Mike gives a warm toast to the newlyweds and then pulls Charlie aside to tell him he found a last-minute replacement DJ. Blake comes over to congratulate Charlie, and they shake hands. The new DJ gets set up, and things seem to be going smoothly. Emma's father stands up to say a few words. He gets emotional and tells several stories from Emma's childhood. He talks about her rebellious years as a gun control activist and the time he had to pick her up from a police station for egging a Walmart that sold firearms. He gets a big laugh from the room. He mentions that he thinks her activism was partly a way of pushing back against him since he is in the military. He also casually mentions that around that same time his rifle went missing from the house. A loud bang suddenly cuts through the room, but it turns out to be the new DJ accidentally dropping something while setting up his sound system. He apologizes, and Emma's father wraps up his speech. Charlie quietly tries to ask Emma how her father could have just left a rifle accessible in the house. Emma immediately shuts him down. She is already tense because she can see Rachel across the room whispering to Alice. Rachel then tells Mike she would like to say a few words as maid of honor. Mike introduces her, and she stands up. She talks about how she met Charlie and Emma through her husband, and how surprised she was when Emma asked her to be maid of honor since Emma had joked that she did not have any real friends. She talks about how complex Emma is as a person and says that Charlie must be just as complex to be the right match for her. She adds that Charlie is clearly very open-minded. The room starts to feel uncomfortable. Mike steps in and asks her to wrap it up. She does. Emma excuses herself to go to the bathroom. While inside, she overhears someone nearby talking about a school shooting. She comes out and finds Misha standing right there in the hallway. Emma asks who she was talking to. Misha says it was just her friend Susan and that it was nothing important. Emma presses her, but Misha says there is nothing to tell and heads back inside. Emma immediately finds Charlie and pulls him into a private room. She tells him that Rachel is clearly talking to people and that she just heard Misha bring up a school shooting. She is panicking. Her parents are at this wedding and they cannot find out about any of this. Charlie tries to calm her down. Emma decides the only way to handle it is to bring Misha in and settle it directly. Charlie tries to stop her, but she is already gone. When Misha walks into the room, she immediately assumes it is about the kiss. Before anyone can say anything, she tells Emma that Charlie kissed her first and that they stopped immediately and nothing happened between them. Emma slowly turns to look at Charlie. Misha keeps going. She explains that Charlie had come to her asking about a school shooting, then got overwhelmed and started crying. She tried to comfort him, and he misread the moment. They kissed briefly, but it was meaningless and accidental. Emma is furious. Misha is confused about what is actually going on. All three of them walk back into the reception and return to their seats. Mike announces that the bride would like to say a few words, but Emma quietly tells him she does not want to. He pivots and announces that the groom will speak instead. Charlie stands up with no speech and no plan. He starts talking about how they first met and how much he loves her, and the speech is flat and rambling. He tries to bring up their intimate life, and the crowd shifts uncomfortably in their seats. He keeps saying how lucky he is to have her, and then begins apologizing in front of everyone for how he has behaved over the past few days. He tells the entire room that Emma has done absolutely nothing wrong. Mike tries to get him to sit down. Charlie then says out loud that he never meant to hurt her with Misha. Misha's boyfriend Blake jumps to his feet. The whole room erupts. Charlie screams at everyone to be quiet. Blake storms over and gets in Charlie's face. Charlie tries to explain that nothing happened and that he did not harass Misha. Blake headbutts him, and everything descends into chaos. Guests try to pull Blake back. Rachel starts threatening Blake directly. In the middle of all of it, Emma walks out and disappears. Charlie comes home later that night with cuts and bruises. If you made it this far, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. He calls out for Emma, but the apartment is empty. He tries calling her, but she does not pick up. He cleans himself up and sits alone. Eventually, he goes to a nearby diner and orders something. A few minutes later, Emma walks in. She goes straight to the counter to place her order without looking at him. Then she walks over to his table and asks if the seat next to him is taken. Charlie looks at her, confused. She sits down and pretends they are strangers meeting for the first time, doing the role play she had tried to do at the bar earlier in the week. This time Charlie plays along. She asks how he got all the bruises. He tells her he was trying to help a woman with a baby who was being robbed. They both start laughing. They sit together in the diner and quietly decide to start over.